6.
Good evening, everybody. We have a guest tonight that I'm just going to be honest. I've been following him for a while, watching his videos on TikTok. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. Banshee guy, 86, 68, 86. That's it. He is in GameFowl and he likes to build his own stuff and do his own thing. And that's one thing that a lot of us have. We want something the way we want it, and it's not on the shelf, or if it is on the shelf and you can buy it, it's astronomical. So we're going to talk about some things tonight and see what he has to say. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks y'all for having me. Certainly appreciate it.
Oh, Jeff's the feed Nazi. He's in here too.
You guys do a great job with the show. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
I kept seeing that option for a subtitle, and I didn't know what to use, right? So then I thought, I'm going to go with feed Nazi.
Feed Nazi.
Because I just piss people off when we talk about feed. Hey, is this okay? No, it's not. It's shit. Use something else. It's shit, right?
I don't. You tell them that, and they're like, "No, it's this. Yeah. It's what you said." And you're like, "No, that's what I said not to do." So yeah. Man, you got a show pro the other day. Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, especially if you're on the West Coast. Okay, well, if you're anywhere other than the East Coast, like shipping's crazy.
Yeah. Well, look, you're how many days from Christmas? Come on, right? And it's going to go crazy right now. So
yeah,
this is not the time to be placing your order. If you are, you better have patience.
Yeah, don't wait until you run out next week.
They're losing orders. They're all kinds of stuff.
We will do our best, but we can only do what we can do. We sent a lot out today. Sent a lot of pellets. Sent a lot of regular powder. A lot of 10-pounders. If anybody has ordered Fix It, it is out the door. Man, one person in Hawaii had ordered 3 bags. Like, he hit both websites on Black Friday. So he's got 6 bags of Fix It coming. And like 4 or 5 10-pounders headed his way.
Took advantage of the sale.
Yeah, I mean, he racked up.
Yeah.
And there's several people that got several of the 40s. But hey, except for the order that came in like 20 minutes ago, I want to say all the supplement orders are out the door. There may be a couple pellet orders that haven't went out yet, but boom. It's been crazy. So,
all right, let's get to it.
Yep, I'm fixing to swap us over because we do have a PowerPoint presentation that we're going to add up in here. And this right here, I have on the screen, tiktok.com/Ant Banshee Guy 86. That is his contact. I'll have it. It's on the last slide too. So if you're like, I don't know who this guy is, he might suck. Don't take a screenshot. you're going to see it again at the end. I really think that you may be a lot like I was, because when I first talked to him, like, it didn't click. And, I'm scrolling TikTok, going to bed, and I hear the voice, and I was like, I just got to phone this dude. Nah. And then I went over to his Facebook, because we're friends on Facebook on our personal pages. I was like, yeah, that is who I was just talking to. This guy, I didn't tell my wife that you're the reason why I started getting more power tools, but
don't blame me.
I'm leaving that out. But this is, I'm pretty OCD about the way things are, and I just rather buy it than build it, because, like I told him, I could screw two pieces of wood together and I know it'll be there, but the way it looks may be iffy. And watching his videos and doing it more and more, like, really helped my confidence. So let's see. He did send me some pictures that we're going to talk about. Here's the first one.
Nope.
And it cropped when I was putting the wording on there. Sorry about that. But tell us about this creation.
So I like to use sand as a bedding. It's something I can readily get available here. There's a landscape yard not too far up the street. They offer what they call coarse road sand. There's not a lot of really large stones or anything in it. And sand in general dries out really well, like it drains well. And, it's always worked well as a bedding for me. So to maintain sand, I needed something like I could basically coop and let the sand sift, and so I could remove a lot of the solid particles, feathers, everything like that. And they really didn't make anything. So I was like, these stall rakes, which that's all this is a general stall rake from Tractor Supply. I said, if I just take, some hardware cloth, 1/4 inch, I go over this thing, kind of keep it uniform to the same shape, I can make this work. And I did. And it worked really well its first application. I didn't even have to go back, remodify it. A lot of times you come up with something new, there's always this trial and test phase, and you got to fix it. And this worked right out of the gate. It worked. And so not only does it work well as a scoop, but it's still a stall rake. So when you turn it over, you can drag and, do what you need to do to maintain that sand.
So I was looking at these pictures when you sent them to me. That looks like 1/4 inch hardware cloth.
It is.
Zip tied over the stall rake. Because I have one of these stall rakes that I use. Sometimes I fight with it, sometimes I don't. Because my large fowl, they'll drop some the size of like small dogs. So there's I don't need that, but
Right.
like having that, man, I could when I flip my pins, that can make it faster.
A lot faster.
Yep. And pun intended, I guess, but you got to be willing to do the crap that nobody else wants to do if you want to have the birds that nobody else has. So, yeah.
If you're going to get into game fowl and get into them seriously, and you don't have a ton of space where you can constantly move things, you better not be lazy.
Yeah, and I noticed that real quick, because the best way is to have options.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you're going to have options is to have more than 5 birds. And you're going to have a mess if you don't do something. So when you clean out your pins and stuff with a rake, what else do you put in with the with your sand? Is it just straight sand? You mix anything in there with it?
I just use sand. If I'm going to sanitize it, I tend to use Pine Sol. A buddy of mine turned me on to that, and it does a good job sanitizing. It's not toxic, and at least not that I'm aware of, and it smells good. That's another, I don't like bleach. Like, bleach works. It's tried and true. but
Yeah.
rather stay away from bleach. It's pretty harsh. You can lime the sand, turn it in, and whatnot, and I've done that. I typically clean the pins as much as I can. Once or twice a month, I'll sanitize them with the Pine Sol, and then every 4 to 6 months we try to lime things and keep things going that way.
Yeah, I can tell you're not in the South. Because
We're
in the
temperate.
summertime especially, you'd be liming a lot. Because it also helps when it's a muddy, mucky mess after a rain. Throw down nice big old clop of lime and a bunch of stall pellets to soak up the mess.
Soak it all up.
Yeah. Let's see here. Tell me about this thing.
Well, these were an idea, and I always try to keep like myself open to multi-purpose uses. So these are like miniature fly pins and by design, but they're brood pins. That's typically what I use them for. And you can grow out a smaller clutch of chicks in there for a little while, and then move them to a larger grow out. But for brood pins, these work really well. It wasn't extremely expensive to build, and of course, in this image, I've started the winterizing process, and I got it wrapped 3/4. The only thing I got to finish here is the strip across the top, just to block the wind from the roost pole. It's really effective, and it allows me to pair birds and stuff and give them a little room so they're not too stressed. A lot of guys will take roost poles out because they're afraid the hen will, try to distance herself from him. That's just an obstacle we have to deal with.
Yeah, I don't take my roost poles out.
Yeah.
Which I don't use. Some people have 50 birds in a 10 by 10 and like 5 roost poles, and they go in there to do something and clothesline themselves or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a management problem, right, Joe?
Yeah. And just going back to what John said, if a hen don't want to squat for the rooster, you got to look at other issues, man. And she may be smarter than you are. Just because you think it's a good pair doesn't mean it's a good mating pair, right? So she's trying to tell you something, like he's a jerk off, or she wants a different rooster.
He's ugly.
Come on, man. And,
hey, she might be the one that's a little wild, not him.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Let's see. This right here is pretty cool. I like this.
Appreciate it.
Tell us about that.
So at my old farm, I was pretty limited on space. Yeah. And so that drove me to making use of what I had. And I just could not bring myself to do a barrel colony. I said, I need something that is much more efficient and still something that I can keep several birds in a smaller area. So I used, 8 feet as a limitation for myself, for this structure. Obviously dimensional lumber as well. Just tried to keep it simple, right? So I said, well, barrels on their biggest day, at their biggest areas, are like 28 inches. I can do better than 28 inches. So if guys are growing them in barrels, we're good. I can come up with something that's better than a barrel. And so I came up with these pins that are 32 inches wide, 40 inches deep, and 40 inches high. So they're on this 8-foot sort of structure. And I left 4-inch overhang on the front and 4-inch overhang on the back, for your top plate and everything, to keep, weather out. And of course, it doesn't do perfect. If wind is blowing them, and you're going to have to deal with all that stuff. But regardless,
you're going to have horizontal rain at some point.
Exactly. This really helped me, in a 4x4 dome pins that I like to use a lot, I fit 2 birds in an 8-foot area. With these, I could fit 6. And, while they won't suffice as permanent holding pins for stags, because, they will get larger and they're not going to do as well in an area like that, they'll hold pullets pretty well. And they were great as grow outs, for stags that were, at pinning age, and we're raising them out. So it was an economical option for me, because at the end of the day, even with the treated material and the wire and whatnot, these end up costing you about $55 per stall. So you couldn't go wrong.
I mean, now that's what you're going to pay for like a 39 by 39.
By the time you put a base on it and a shade on it and everything, you're going to have that much in it.
I mean, I saw somebody today that's pretty big seller of those things, and somebody said, how much are they? And they popped off $55, and I was like, but I thought about it. Last show I went to, I got some of the ones that had the double wire around the bottom, so they only have like maybe a 1-inch gap, and that's what they were. So,
Geesh. They're really difficult to get up here. The Mexican style fold out 39 by 39s, extremely difficult to find here. Go to North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, you can find them by asking a few guys. But up here, in my area, they're non-existent. The last time I heard of any, they were $35 or $40. So $55 is a huge jump.
Yeah, and some folks are blaming it on tariffs, but I'm like,
nah.
I mean, that's about what they were last year too. So
most of those pins that come here to the U.S., they don't get shipped here; they get drove here.
Yeah, I was gonna say the reason you can't find them up your way is because by the time the guy starts unloading his trailer on the way there, he's out by the time he gets there.
He's out. Yeah.
I mean, there's 3 or 4 guys that you could trust, I guess you would say, that are bringing them. There's always some sketchy people.
Oh, sure.
Let's see. We got a question right here. It says, Mexican breeders say if you raise chicks under a heat plate or over red light bulbs, they grow better and are stronger due to the chicks getting more sleep. You think that's true?
I've used red lights in the past, and my tower brooder has heat plates. And to be quite honest, I've brooded chicks in both at the same time, in my wooden brooder and the tower brooder, which I didn't send pictures of. I didn't notice a growth rate difference. I really didn't. It'd be something I'd want to do more controlled batches of and pay more close attention. So yeah. I can't give a definitive answer, but I didn't. If it wasn't a noticeable difference, then to me, I don't think it's going to make a large difference. But I don't particularly like red lights. I mean, it's better than a white light, but I prefer the ceramic heaters that screw into the side.
Yeah, like the reptile heaters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem is people buy the $2 or $3 red light that puts off a lot of heat instead of the actual $12 to $15 designed to put off heat bulb that's like explosion proof.
Right.
And I went through this too, and I bought what I thought was the right red lamp, right? And at the end of the day, they had put a red film over a white light, right? And it was not. So when I broke down and bought that higher dollar true red glass heat lamp, and I put it in the right ceramic socket with a heavy cord, the thing was bulletproof, and it worked great for me. So, if you get the cheap red light, then the heat plate is probably going to win, right? If you get a really good, high quality, true heat lamp with the really dark red glass, the birds can't see that spectrum of red, so they're going to sleep just fine.
Yeah. And those, I mean, I understand not wanting to spend that kind of money on a bulb, but when your chicks grow up a little bit before it's time to put them out, they're going to be, if you're feeding them right and they're good birds, they're going to be rambunctious, and they could burn the crap out of themselves, or they could bust the bulb. And yeah, like you, Jeff, the first time I found one that was a real heat lamp, like the thing's got an aluminum foil type backing on the backside. You can tap on the glass and tell that the red is there.
Right.
And it gets stupid hot. So you got to have that ceramic.
Look, for each one of us, it's going to be a different setup, and we're going to find that we like something a little bit better than the other. You know, like the screw-in reptile heaters, they work great, right? And I understand why John likes them, and so does Dwayne, right? You know, all I know is the red heat lamp, and I've had great success using the red heat lamp, right? So, you know, to each their own, and I'm never going to say one's better than the other, whether it's a heat plate red lamp, reptile heater. You know, you find what works best for you and stick with it, and be happy with it. So
yeah, I mean,
they all work if you're the manager to use them, right?
It's ultimately your farm, your rule.
Yep. There it is.
Let's see here. So you said she loves her heat plates.
Yeah.
You know, me too. And for chicks, a lot of times I'll set the heat plates in like one position and they don't really change levels. And when the chicks can't get up under them anymore, it's time to take them out. You know, 2-3 weeks.
Right. So they can self-regulate their heat and they can generate body heat after 14 days, really after 10. Okay. They start regulating their own body temperature after 10 days.
Yeah.
Right. So at 14 days, you can start gradually removing the heat from them altogether. And by 3 weeks old, you should be able to harden them off. Right.
Yep.
And so
like in my barn, it doesn't get below 58 to 60 degrees in my barn. So that's a little over 2 weeks. They don't get any heat anymore. Now, this right here, I need to know about this. I like it.
Yeah. It's unfinished, but it is, you know, I've got plenty of space here at the new place to be able to free range chicks. Some of the important ones, again, multi-purposes in mind, right? I hatch something that I deem and dub as super important. This is it. I got to have this. I can't afford to let them die. So when you build facilities, like with this one in mind, originally my grow out at the old property where I could not free range, 2 of them were 10 by 20. And that's okay. But when they become adolescents, you know, when they're young, when they're 3 weeks, 4 weeks old, you know, it's not getting colder than 60 degrees at night, you turn them out, you don't have, you know, any issues, and they're young and it's fine. But as long as we're not overcrowding them at that stage, you overcrowd them, you know, young, it's not going to be good. But as they become adolescents, in an area that large, you can't house more than about 20. You know, we're talking, I like to allow 10 to 12 square foot per adolescent bird, and actually adolescent 7-8 months old, to alleviate stress. I mean, they're natural born survivors. They got to have their space. So, you know, 20-ish birds in those pens, that was it.
Yeah.
So you got to start, you know, pinning them up and everything. So I built something larger. It's 15 feet wide and 32 feet long. And funny enough, I'd have to take more pictures, but the way it's designed, like it is built in 15 foot by 16 foot sections. I could literally unscrew it in the center and add another section and just make it infinitely longer.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. And with this in mind,
you could wind up with a huge grow out.
You could make it as long as you want, 16 feet at a time, just going backwards. Yeah. And again, multi-purpose in mind, like once they are adolescents, in one that is this size, I can house 40, maybe 45. So this could suffice as a pullet pin, where I can keep all the females and stuff when the stags are becoming pinning age. I'm probably going to have to build a second one because I like to separate stags and pullets when they start getting at that age where they're just, about to come into sexual maturity, because I find that if you take away the females, they can tolerate each other quite a bit longer.
Yep. They don't have to show out.
Just like teenage boys, right?
Right.
If there's no females around, you don't have to show off.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Sean, he brought this up. He said, I thought you liked blue lights. And I do. The red lights, only for heat, and I'm not a huge fan of heat lamps. The blue light spectrum plays a key role in early growth and development. So the lights that I use that are blue are LED, and they don't put off any kind of heat at all.
So that's two different things. We're talking about
two
brooder
totally
light
things
for heat, and then we're talking about grow out lights, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
When you get to 20 or 24 weeks and you want them to start laying eggs, then you need to shift over to the red orange color.
Yep.
To stimulate the pituitary gland to stimulate sexual maturity and egg laying. Right. So different spectrums, different purposes.
Yep. Let's see. I like this too. Now, when I put these two together, the one on the right is the inside of what's on the left, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I thought that was the case, the way it looked, and that's why I put them on here the same. So
these are just the newest 3-stall version of fly pins.
Yeah.
And again, it's built on the premises of dimensional lumber being 16 foot. I wanted it to be 15 foot and 2 inches, or 15 foot 6 inches. Either way, we'll say 15.6. It is 15.6 because I wanted a little overhang on the sides. Okay.
Right.
And that way each stall is 5 foot 2 inches wide, and they are 8 feet deep, and it's 8 foot tall. So with the purpose of dimensional lumber in mind, I'm able to do something like this, counting for my overhang and whatnot. And it's not quite finished. You can see there are no blinders, and the third stall all the way on the right just has some tools in it, for the time being, a ladder and some wire. So, there's some stuff.
You got to find somewhere to put that stuff out of the weather.
Absolutely. Especially when I still need it.
I mean, you could put a couple hens or pullets in the middle, put the roosters on either side.
So I assume these are going to be brood pens eventually when you put the blinder walls in.
Yep, you can use them for brood pens. You can use them for fly pens. You could fill the bottom with a lot of corn shucks. Use them for scratch pens. Whatever your choice really would be. In this photo, you can't really see it, but in the center stall, there's actually 4 chicks. I say chicks. They're not chicks any longer. They're about 14-ish weeks, 13, 14-ish weeks, and that is the mother all the way on the left. I knew she was getting close to weaning them, and so I took her away the morning that I found that she thumped one of her pullets in the head, and I was like, yeah, I knew you were getting close. So for now, we're okay not having the blinders, but here in the near future, with breeding season around the corner, we've got to finish up those little tidbits. But this is a good example of my style with a fly pin.
I mean, I like that idea. I think it looks good.
Now, John, I'm going to ask you a question. I ain't meaning to pick a scab off here, all right? I'm just going to ask. So have you thought about building the bases more as a skid with a tapered end or an angled end so you can move them around to new patches of green grass, as needed, on the property?
I have not. It is a great idea to do so. And if you have the ability to do so, it's something you should really, learn about and consider doing. I can still move these should I need to. On skids, they would be so much easier. So when I do decide to move these, and eventually I will, it's going to be a little more difficult than it has to be. So that's a really good point. And I always tell people to build with purpose. So that's something you should keep in mind if you're going to build, stuff like this.
It looks like you use treated 4x4 for your base lumber.
6x6, or not 6x6, 2x6s.
2x6s. Yeah, well, I mean, with 2x6s, just cut a 45 degree at either end. right, and leave them a foot longer than the overall building. And
Yep.
you can take it anywhere you want to go. So
Yep. I can still do it. I just have to fasten some 2x6s on the ends and turn them into skids.
okay. I was just curious if you made it somewhat movable, because now you have more acreage. I mean, how many acres you got now?
Around 5 3/4.
All right, but you have room to free range. But it just lets you move to fresh ground like every 6 months or a year, right? And give your ground a break where you were. So that was the only thing I was thinking, right? Is if you can move everything periodically.
Yes, sir.
It'd be a win-win.
Yep. I mean, that's the best way to do it. I'm so used to the old farm where I couldn't do that and I had to make it work and I had to constantly be on top of things.
Mhm.
It's going to change my life. It's going to be a little different and a little more work in the respect that I will have to move things, but overall, it's going to be for the greater good.
Yeah.
I built some structures on skids, and it's game changer. I will say that they get heavy really fast. So that was an issue for me.
Just don't over-engineer. You know, there's ways to build them so you can move them and not necessarily make them way heavier than they need to be. So
Yeah, the first one, I think a tree could fall on it, and you know it might not even, like a thud is all it would do. It wouldn't affect it. And the others, you know, I built them with 2x2s and 2x4s and not 4x4s in the corners, because it was a bit of an overkill, but it was what I had when I built the first one. So
I mean, 2x6 for your base framing is ideal. And then some places you need 2x4s. The rest of it can actually be 2x2s if you can reinforce it. So, but no, they
yeah,
look great. I just was curious, you know, if you were going to make them skiddable so you could get them around the farm.
It's a great question and a really good point.
Jeff, this one right here on the screen.
Yeah.
What I want to do is build me one of those and use a 4x4 or 2x6s side by side bolted together for the runners, and on the center walls get like conveyor belt rubber and put that all the way on the ground, and have a 2x going across an inch or two above the ground, but have the rubber down there.
You
so
really
I
want
can
your
up
conveyor belt, you know, to
drag
be
it.
like 6 or 8 inches. And because these are game fowl, not common fowl, you would want to put a piece of that conveyor on either side so it comes down and curls out, just to eliminate any chance of
what if
fighting, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and it'll scoot right along just fine, right? And it's a strong enough barrier that the birds aren't gonna, fuss with it. Actually, I have poultry growers who are using that, heavy conveyor belting, and it's a heavy enough deterrent to stop raccoons, possums, skunks, all of those.
all that from getting around.
Yeah, they just don't want to mess with it because literally the weight of it is enough that they can't deal with it, right? So
like when you have one of these and you got to go in each individual stall to clean it out and turn the dirt and all that good stuff, man, you could just take that thing and hook the tractor up to it, move it 20 feet, and then, go back and forth with your rotor tiller and everything. You won't have to lean over, duck up under your roost poles, none of that crap. Be pretty nice. Then you could plant something fresh on it. Wait till it got thick and green, because the ground's going to have a lot of nitrogen. Move it back.
So what are you using for hinges on that, John?
2.5 inch. That's it. 2.5 inch.
Metal hinges.
Exterior, just stainless 2.5 inch metal hinges.
Okay. Yeah, you can kind of see them on that one. I didn't know on the big 5 stall where we
Mhm.
started
Mhm.
if you were using the same because they look dark. Something will look black there, and that's why I asked what you were
They
using. Just,
they may have been black. I had some black ones at one point. I got a really good deal on at Lowe's.
I was gonna say when you find when you're building stuff like this and you find anywhere from a 2.5 to a 3-inch hinge that's stainless, any color, and it's a good deal, you grab them.
Yeah, I got is a 10 or a 12 pack for like $8.
wow, that is
I
cheap.
got a 30 pack on Amazon for like 17 or $18 of 3-inch stainless steel.
Can't beat it.
I ordered 2 of them.
I don't care how tight the hinge is. It doesn't matter. You can't beat that price.
Nah.
Mm-mm.
If you can get your hands on that conveyor belting that I was talking about, Terry,
Yeah.
it also cut it in long strips,
Mm-hmm.
4-inch wide, and it makes an excellent hinge. And it actually acts like the old screen door hinge with the spring loaded.
Yeah.
So it'll want to push the door closed for you, after you open it. So it's not going to just be gaping open, or if the wind catches it, it's not going to fly open, right? It's gonna want to close itself again. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with that old conveyor belting if you can get your hands on it.
I think someone else is up. I want to say he was in West Virginia.
No, Petey was saying that he was commenting that he had access to a lot of tarps and belting. So
Yeah. He was going to use that.
yeah,
I was thinking he was somewhere up that way, probably near some kind of mines anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see. Spurgeons are very resourceful type and make not so much go a long way. Yeah. I'm just broke. That's why. Because, like, this right here looks really nice. But if you was to buy that thing pre-built, that'd be $2,000. At least 1,500.
I mean,
And that could get expensive real fast.
the metal roofing is certainly the most expensive point in my area, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to swear to the numbers, but I have somewhere around the range of like $600, $650 in this pin.
I can see that. And I mean, that's
No labor,
not bad.
no tools, just material.
Let's see.
how long does it take you to build one of those, John?
If I cut all my lumber to the dimensions I need, either the day before or in the morning, either way, I can build it in a day.
Ain't bad. Is that 1/2 inch plywood?
It's 3/4. I
Is
still
it
got it.
3/4?
It's 3/4. Yep,
Holy shit, that's heavy.
it is heavy. It went 1/2 inch.
Yeah, I made my one of my structures. Well, I made them all out of 3/4, but the one that has 4x4s, that son of a gun is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys need to get in touch with Pete. He's from a small coal town. Luckily, there's an abundance of mining belt and tarps, so could save you on your building material.
That's great. Be good for me.
Well, he's also in Virginia, but he's in Southwest Virginia, so
Yep.
which I just drove through there. So yeah, he said he's in Southwest Virginia, have a lot of mines around, so there's mining conveyor belts and thick tarps everywhere, cheap.
Yep.
So
I'm closer to West Virginia than I am to Southwestern Virginia.
yeah, you're kind of central, aren't you? You're up on the plain.
Yeah, exactly.
You're up on the
Yep.
Piedmont. Yeah,
In the Piedmont region, exactly. So I'm
Right.
kind of like central, not quite north, but really close.
yeah. But you got to figure out how to hook up with Petey and between the two of you, you meet somewhere and trade something for some mining belt,
Right.
right?
That would work out. Let's see. Someone else says they use mining belts at the bottom of some of their fly pins. Is good stuff.
If you want to make things movable, like I said, using that as your barrier at the bottom, right? So if you want to make your pen so they can actually skid, it's flexible and it'll go over, minor contour changes. So if you got a cut off stump or a rock or something like that, it's not going to slow you down and hang up, right? So, and you can set your height on that mining belt wherever you want. If you want 9 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, I got one guy that sets his up at 12 inches. And his idea is if I fall down when they're moving the pen and the pen rolls over me, it's not going to crush me, right? So, but that's a really big pen he's running too. So
that's a pasture poultry person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's a big shelter. He's running 30 by 40s, and they're all welded, drill stem tubing. So, yeah.
Yep, that is pretty huge. See, I was trying to see if we had any other questions pop up. Tell us about these cages that you built.
These are staples for me. I just always call them dome pins. Some people call them hoop pins. These are 4x4 pins. I use them as holding pins. Again, it's really hard to find the fold out 39s, 39 by 39s up here. Plus, even when they were $35 a piece, if you could get them, you can build these for like $42 to $45 with the shade, with everything.
Yeah.
And so by the time I spend $35 and then I spend another $12 to $15 in treated lumber and then more in the shade, a tarp, I've already built this thing and it's much better. And it's larger. So again, I like to build larger if I can than what would be the norm. So going back to me saying like gamecocks, game fowl require around 10 to 12 square foot, space to alleviate stress. Well, a 39 by 39, by the time you do the math, it ends up being just over like 10 or 10 and a quarter square feet because it's 3 1/4 feet. 36 inches, 36, 3 foot, 3 inches. So it ends up being just over 10 square feet. Well, these 4x4s are 16 square foot. And, I always put my roost poles relatively low because I'm not exercising them. I just want them to be able to get their feet off of the ground and cover them so, that they alleviate frostbite. You'll also note that with the sunshade here and the weather shade, that the roost pole is oriented in the same direction. That's because sometimes, they'll sleep. Invariably, they will sleep at the edges of the cage right against the wire, and they are inviting something to just come by and pull their head off.
Yep. Chickens freaking try to figure out new ways to die.
They do. So these are easy to build. They're good holding pins, and you can move them around super easy.
So I missed it. What are you using for the hoop? A fold over hoop? What are you making what are you using for your arc?
It is wire underneath. It's that 2x4 wire, but the shade itself is synthetic roof underlayment.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's UV protected, so it's going to last a while.
Correct. I've got pins that are 3 going on 4 years, and they don't have a single hole. They're not splitting. They're not rotten. That's much longer than any tarp. And like in my area, it's a 4 feet wide, 250 foot roll for like $80. And when we do the math and we break that stuff down, it's like 32 cents a foot. So that shade cost me less than $3.50.
That's pretty nice. Okay. I was wondering if you had tried any recycled billboard tarps, like the really heavy duty ones.
I have access to some. I actually have some out here right now, and I'm going to try them and see how well they work because I know they hold up really well. It's just the pieces that I got, they're black, and Yeah, I'm going to put them in shaded areas so I don't kill anything.
They're black on both sides. A lot of
Yeah,
times they're black on one, white on the other. Okay.
Right.
you don't want
That's
to slow
that's what I
roast
was hoping.
anything.
Right.
So Bob wanted to know what how do you do your doors on those?
It's pretty simple. When I build these, then I have a video on my TikTok that demonstrates how to build these little things. I use hog rings to attach all the panels. Well, you can do the same thing with the doors. I like to cut my door about 20 to 22 inches high and 18 to 20 inches in width. And you take the hog ring pliers, or you can leave the wire, cut it where it's not still square, just cut it where it's a stem sticking out, and you can loop and make your own hinges. Or I like to cut mine flush and take the hog rings and crimp them, not all the way shut, but where they are firmly looped. And then I've got this sliding door that goes up and down, and I can put hooks on it and just literally, swing it, latch it down, pick it up, swing it, and it's open. There's also like some parrot cage springs. They loop on, they attach like a key ring, right? So they got this ring that you roll them on the wire, and then you got this loop spring you can pull for extra security if you choose to do that.
Now, do you have links to like the parrot cage springs and stuff like that? Or, I mean, people just look it up, or?
I just looked it up on Amazon, and they're roughly 3 inches, 3.5 inches, something like that.
Yeah, I'm fixing to post some links to the stuff.
Sam asked, what you treat the wood or the plywood with. Are you putting anything on it? I mean, you're using treated lumber to start with, but like the plywood, the 3/4 plywood didn't look treated. So
it's not.
You gonna paint it later, I guess, after it
You either
out, or okay.
You either paint it. I buy a cheap sprayer, like a paint sprayer from Harbor Freight, and spray it with Thompson's water seal.
Okay.
Yep, just something to keep the weather off of it. Guys use diesel fuel. I know it works. I know it'll keep certain parasites away, like mites and stuff away. It's not 100%, but I don't like the idea of trying to create a toxic environment.
Yeah. Now, and a lot of people don't know, like the old treated lumber, that you bought a decade ago, right? They've changed it now, but it was actually, they would pressure soak the wood in a combination of borax for the boron and copper sulfate. And that's how you got that green color once it soaked into the wood. And that would make it insect resistant. And, once it dries out again, neither the copper or you really don't have any residual anyway. But, after the fact, that would not be very toxic to the chicken. So you're pretty good shape there. Larry asked what was the name of that shade material. He missed it. So you want to go over that again?
It's synthetic roof underlayment. They're at Lowe's. I get mine at Lowe's. It might be the Reliabuilt brand. You can see it's a dark gray. It has lettering on the underside. I just use the non-lettered side, right side up, so they all look uniform and so on.
Yeah, I think Carrie found the link and posted it for people to find it too. So the shade.
Yeah, I'm trying to post the stuff on Amazon and link so people can get it delivered straight to their house.
So John, when are you building some more of these hoop panels that are on screen, right? Or these hoop structures? The only reason I ask is just to try it for your own experiment. But if you use a cattle panel from Tractor Supply, it's very rigid. It's going to add some weight to it, but I mean, strength-wise,
it'll be much stronger.
You can put your roost pole wherever you want. So it's 5 times stronger than 2x4 wire, standard 2-inch by 4-inch wire. So you could put your roost pole up, halfway up the pen if you want. But
sure.
You're going to have more investment, but I think, when it's all said and done, it's probably going to last you just as long. I think it'll all even out in the end, but half a panel, I think an 8-foot or a half of one of those panels would arc just the same. It's just going to give you some more structural strength.
How in the
Mhm.
crap would you bend it that tight?
You don't bend it. Okay. You build your frame. You attach one side. Okay, and then while you flip it up while you're standing on the frame, you bend it down around, you tuck it inside your other side, and you
Yeah.
staple it. I've built many chicken coops out of cattle panels. That's the only reason there's a voice of experience there. I've done
Look,
this.
so a lot of
Been
people
there,
like
done this.
the 5-foot pins for fly pins and stuff. I bet if you used a whole cattle panel and flipped that over like that, that sucker would probably be 7-8 foot tall.
So the pens I built were 8 feet wide, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cattle panel is 50 or 52 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And at 8 feet wide, and I'm 6 foot tall, I can walk underneath that arch without bending over. Okay.
Heck
So
yeah.
I can get in there at 6 foot. So yeah, you could dual purpose that as a fly pen if you wanted to. And it would be 8 feet long. Then, make it whatever length you need it, to accommodate the cattle panel. But they work good. At 4x8, when you build it as a 4x8, you have 32 square feet. So you definitely got room in there as a brood pen, and it's not that
Mm-hmm.
heavy. Um, my wife could move it, my daughter could move it when she got a little older. And so it wasn't that big a deal to move.
All right.
I've seen guys take this style pen. I don't know how cost effective it is. I've never tried it myself, nor do I know how much strength it actually adds. But they'll drive just two small pieces of rebar, down into the wood. I say drive in. They'll drill it in. Then they bend PVC. They just stick PVC over the rebar and follow the shape and just add like 3 little rings, one in the middle and 2 right at the front of the panels.
Should work. I
Yeah.
just, I was cheap and lazy, so I just went with the cattle panels, man. They were
The
already,
cattle panel would likely be stronger than the PVC.
yeah. Yeah, it depends, in my other line of work, the pens that I've seen with the PVC, 3 years was a max on them before something went wrong, right? So
Yeah.
PVC doesn't take cold temperatures very well.
No.
And it really doesn't like to get moved often. Whereas, the cattle panel is a lot more forgiving. So,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Let's see. Do we have?
So what breeds are you keeping, John? What are you raising?
Too many. I'm in that phase where like I need to breed a little more, and that way I'll decide which ones I want to keep and get rid of. So I've got a family of A still.
Okay.
I got a Peacomb brown red family, a Gilmore hatch family. The brown reds and the Gilmores are what I started out with. I acquired a claret family that I'm well pleased with, and I've got some blue face and yellow legged hatch.
Yeah. You went over the magic number. It's
Way
pretty hard.
too far.
It's pretty hard for one man to keep more than 4 lines, right?
I preach this all the time. I have not followed. Well, I will fall into line. I'm not, because I don't have a plan to keep them, right? There's guys that want to collect everything and get this and get that and bring this in and bring that in. My plan is really, really simple because, I've got these birds. I need to find out what works well for me and in my program. And clearly, if I have 2 families that are similar in qualities and traits, one of them is going to be superior. And at that point, why do I need the other one?
Right.
That's true.
But some people are collectors, right? Some people are not, functional breeders. Some people just, I hate to say it this way. So if I hurt somebody's feelings, sorry, but there's a lot of junk collectors out there. They got this and they got that and they got this other thing and they got that. And, this was a real good winner. And this, this is so-and-so's. And this is like, you know what? I don't know. My friend Jen says, you know what? At the end of the day, it's a chicken. It's just a chicken. So
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Guys will make up reasons to keep something or to try to go down the road to make something better. I mean, it's if you just simplify it, it's either a good chicken or it is not. And that's it.
And it's pretty hard to start with something that's not and make it something it ain't. So
It is.
Yeah.
It is difficult. If there's genetic potential in there, you could do it, but you won't be doing it in 2 or 3 years. It's going to take you a decade or more.
At least, right? You're talking 7 to 10 generations to really clean it up and get out of it what you're looking for. So
yeah, it is not an easy or quick process.
Well, and that's a line breeding thing there. And a lot of guys are afraid of line breeding. So, if you're not going to put sister on daughter and brother on sister and all that other stuff to clean up your line, don't think you're going to remodel some old messed up chicken.
Absolutely. It's a subject for a whole nother day.
It is.
But when it comes to breeding, from my personal opinion, I don't think a lot of the modern guys that are keeping game fowl understand exactly how much time and space it takes to maintain one family with no outside blood.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
They go to a show somewhere, they fall in love with a brand new chicken, and they got to bring it home.
They gotta extend their collection.
They got to have it. And then they're worried about keeping everything pure, so they can't breed it in and make it part of their own family. They got to buy something else to keep it pure. And
yeah. Well, yeah. Is there anything really pure out there? So,
it
yeah.
depends on how you look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Austin's question leads you down the road of purification, right? So, You know what, Austin? If you breed brother on sister, chances are 70% of what hatches you're gonna cull because it's gonna be the ugliest things you ever saw, right? But you got to have the patience to do it, and if you don't have that patience, everybody quits, right? They do brother on sister, they think they messed up, then they go out and they buy another rooster and they really messed it up, right? So if you don't know what you're doing and you're afraid of what might come out, then don't do it. Okay?
Don't do it.
Just don't do it, because it's
Brother.
once you go down this road, you're about 5 generations before you're going to see the good stuff. Okay, so
Brother sister hurts a lot of people's hearts, and for my opinion, again, one of the biggest mistakes people make with it, they don't hatch enough offspring to select from.
Right. I mean, you need to get all the eggs out of her you can get. You need to be hatching 30, 40, 50, whatever she gives you, right? Because chances are you're not going to keep 10%. Right?
You are only realistically looking for 1, 2 at best.
Well, unless you're looking for a pullet and another brother, right? Another cockerel, right? Hopefully you can get, 2 good pullets out of that and 1 good cockerel out of that, right? So you can do it again, right?
Best case scenario.
Right. But it don't happen very often.
Yep. That's because a clutch of 7 or 8 might not throw the ones we're looking for.
Well, you really should have an incubator at that point, right? You're not even trying to hen hatch,
No.
Yeah. Right.
That's a numbers game.
Yeah. But like you said, that's a whole other conversation and another show.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah. Let's see. Are we at time? Right at it?
You got about a minute. So if anybody's got any more questions for John regarding his pens, or I opened the can of worms of breeding, and I shouldn't have done it, because now
I fell right in. It's my fault.
No. I meant in the comment section. The guys are, hammering it, and this isn't really a breeding show tonight. So
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We'll save that for another episode.
Yeah.
Hold those questions.
Sounds like we need to have another one of those episodes soon. So
Yep. Well, I mean, it is hopefully people are putting together their breeding plans and brood pens and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
I would actually tell you, if you're gonna do this and you want to make a family or a line, you're better off to buy a brother and sister from somebody and start with those, and hope he didn't sell you crap.
Junk.
Right.
Yeah. Because then, I mean,
Get
you've
2 pullets and a
eliminated a
cockerel.
generation
Yeah.
for you to figure it out.
Get 2 pullets and a cockerel, 3 pullets and a cockerel, and breed the shit out of them. Just go.
I mean, you've done so much once you find the acceptable offspring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just keep going. All right.
Guys, we'll see you next week. And Larry, I see your question about his TikTok page. Scroll up in the comments. I put it a few lines up. It's tiktok.com/@BANSHEE guy 86. We'll see y'all next week.
We would like to take a moment to thank our friends over at ShowPro Farm Supply for their generous sponsorship and support. Whether you're raising heritage poultry, show poultry, game fowl, or other species of livestock, ShowPro offers custom formulated feeds and supplements to help your animals reach their full genetic potential. And they don't stop at livestock. They also carry Coops movable poultry housing, plus a full line of Fertrell farm and garden products, so your whole homestead gets what it needs to thrive. Check out ShowPro Farm Supply, where nutrition meets know-how.